Live from the Stream Center in Tampa, Florida, the home of News Channel 8, your official Bucs station. This is Bucs Bonus on WFLA Now.
The leaders in the NFC South against the preseason favorites in the NFC South, at least according to many in the national media who are hiding all over the place. It's the 3-1 Bucs against the 2-2 Falcons, an NFC South divisional matchup in Atlanta on Thursday Night Football. Who's excited? Oh, man.
We are.
We're excited. And you know, Todd Bowles.
Todd Bowles, yes.
Yeah,
There we go.
Todd Bowles is excited. Welcome to Bucs Bonus on WFLA Now, of course, with Bucs Insiders. Aileen Hnatiuk, Kenny Morales, and my goodness, I am so excited to introduce to our audience from Atlanta, braving the elements, everybody. Can I get a big round of applause for Dan Lucas? Woo! There he is.
Welcome. I'm excited. Give me the excited. I want to hear the excited again because that's what I am right now. Yes. I'm excited. I'm outside of Centennial Olympic Park here, which is one of the most beautiful spots here in Atlanta, actually pretty close to Mercedes-Benz Stadium. So this area, a lot of people, a lot of buzz around here for their Falcons. They're pumped. They got a win over the New Orleans Saints the other day, albeit they didn't score an offensive touchdown in that game, but they got a pick six and a muffed punt that wound up in the end zone. They fell on it. A win is a win. So the Falcons are taking that one. This is a big game for them. At home tomorrow because these two teams play again. I think it's 4 weeks from now. So the NFC South race, it's not going to be decided tomorrow night, but someone's going to get a leg up in this thing, and the Falcons already have a win under their belts in the NFC South, guys.
Dan, what's the key storyline that you're going to be paying attention to up there in Atlanta, other than the mosquitoes that are just giving you all kinds of problems up there at the park?
I'll tell you. Statistically, I have killed 3 mosquitoes, so I am +3.
It's a pretty good numbers
in that category. Yes. So no, the headline, and it's really not a shocker, is the injury report. You know, you look at the names, and it's you're like, oh, these are significant guys the Bucs need. Kalijah Kancey hasn't played at all this season. Then Luke Gedeke, the right tackle. Those are the 2 biggest names that the Bucs are going to be missing. We had an ambulance coming by me here. Could be the Falcons offense tomorrow night.
You got a visitor as well.
You got a visitor.
There you go.
Yeah, exactly. The Falcons fans here. Oh, yeah, my buddy's here. I mean, anything goes. So, what do you think of the Bucs injury report tomorrow night?
What does he have? Does he have any input?
He said,
Any thoughts?
I think the Bucs gonna win this game.
Yeah, the Bucs.
There we go.
Prognosticator here in Atlanta. Yeah, there you go.
How much you pay those kids?
I don't know, but I'm going wherever they're going. Whatever they're putting money on, I'm putting money on. These guys know it all. I wanted to give you guys the full. I wanted to give you the full Atlanta experience. I'm doing it. I got the college football. I got the College Football Hall of Fame store right next to me. I want to go in. I want to see how much my FSU gear is inside there because it's got to be pretty cheap right now. I could probably pick up a stack of shirts, and they would look at me and go, "Why do you want those, sir?" Because I want them. I love them. And I'm going to bring back Kenny some UCF shirts after that game they played last weekend, so everybody wins. Here
Kenny.
Hey, listen, at least my Knights are 3-1.
That is true. FSU might not get 3 wins. Is this the FSU bonus? Injuries, guys. They have 2 things have happened here. One, Vita Vea came back from his MCL sprain last week. Absolutely influenced the entire game. That is the best thing that could have happened to the Bucs last week, coming off of that horrific loss to the Broncos and going into this game on a short week. If you're the Falcons, you are game planning right now to survive Vita Vea, and Kirk Cousins is going to be running around tomorrow night. Not forward. He's going to be running for his life from the center of that pass rush. And hopefully the Yaya Diaby and Tryon Shoyinka can get to him from the outside and make it a long night for the offense again, for the Falcons offense.
Impeccable.
I'm still just coming off the heels of the fact that our stream was hijacked over there.
I'm still trying to bounce back from that.
Not according to script.
The prognosticators are everywhere on the sidewalks out here.
I mean, Dan, he grabbed the microphone. He was very aggressive.
He wanted airtime. And I asked him a direct question. I go, did the Bucs win this game? And before he comes on, he's going, yeah, absolutely they win this game. Like, your team is favored by 1.5 points, dude. 1.5 points here on Thursday Night Football. You should be pumped about your Falcons. Got Bijan Robinson questionable coming in. You got a two-headed monster there, Tyler Algier, into the running game for Atlanta, which, by the way, is going to be a big test for the Bucs offense. They're trying to get their passing game going. Darnell Mooney, leading receiver for Atlanta. I don't think that's who they thought was going to lead the way when you got Drake London on the team. Yeah. Oh, and the most underutilized player in the entire NFL, and it drives me insane. Kyle Pitts.
Yeah, that one's wild to me.
Unbelievable the way he is not used here in Atlanta. If he were on the Bucs, Liam Cohen would find a way to make this guy, he would be a superstar on the Bucs roster. But, man, they blow it with him, not using him properly. I know he blocks well, too, and they need him for that. But this could be a long night for the Falcons offense. It's my guy, Vita Vea, shows up and does what he did last week, forcing Jalen Hurts to make some bad decisions as well. So that's my headline, guys. I'll see if I can grab any more fans for you.
Yes, please do. That was the highlight so far. Exactly. Not to take away from your injury report, it was great.
Dan, the next hit you do, you got to go in that Ferris wheel behind you
and
do a live shot from there.
Yeah, the big eye. Yeah, that thing is massive, by the way. It's about over half a mile behind me. That thing's gigantic.
Are you a roller coaster person? Are you like a rides person, a roller coaster person?
Oh, yeah. I love them. I like the steep drops, the big drops. I love them. Yeah, I would do that in a heartbeat. For sure.
Couldn't be me. I don't like heights. No.
I know. This is fun. We should do this every week. We should just go out on the street and do this every week. I don't care where we are.
This is amazing.
Dan, Luke, and shout out to Bob Hansen, of course, man in the camera there too in the Atlanta Heat. Dan, we'll get you out on this. You've talked at great length in the past. Aileen on previous episodes as well talked about what it's like to play in different environments in the NFC South away from Raymond James Stadium. What do you expect the environment to be like in Atlanta? So they're the team 2-2. They've got a new leader in Kirk Cousins at the helm of the offense, Raheem Morris, a name that we're going to talk about a lot on the stream. What do you think?
Well, pardon me while I towel off out here. So I won't be doing this inside Mercedes-Benz Stadium tomorrow. It's beautiful inside there. I hope they close the roof and have the air blowing, for crying out loud. It was open last week for the Falcons game. I looked. So Raheem Morris, it's funny. When Raheem Morris was the head coach, now we're going way back, he was a defensive specialist, a defensive backs guy. And then when he started making his way back through the coaching role after he was let go with Tampa Bay, he got into the offense. He's been a receivers coach. So he has done it all, both sides of the ball. Raheem Morris is one heck of a coach and has come into his own. I think he inherited a Falcons team that didn't have all the pieces. Kirk Cousins was their biggest piece, and they're trying to make that work out. So I expect a really fun atmosphere. The NFC South games, it's kind of like SEC games. Each team in the NFC South thinks that it's the other team's biggest rival. The Saints will tell you, no, Falcons are our rival, not the Bucs. Oh, yeah? Ask the Saints fans who they think their big rival is. Here's the other thing. There are going to be a ton of Bucs fans at this game tomorrow. So where we saw all this green and Ray J last week, it's going to be red for both teams tomorrow. But the Bucs, when they do anything in this stadium, and I've been now to 3 games here where the Bucs play, this place will roar. So it's loud inside. It's a gorgeous stadium. Got the turf, obviously. But the Bucs will feel pretty good if they get a handle on things here, because it can be a hornet's nest as well. I am going to go there. I believe this Thursday night years ago in the old Georgia Dome was the old Lovie Smith Scar game. I think they gave up 48 points. Bob, how many points did they give up that night? 48? 48 points they gave up here. It was on a Thursday, and Lovie Smith said, ouch. These are the games that leave scars. And the Bucs haven't really done well in Thursday night games. I don't know what it is. I I just don't know what it is. That Buffalo a couple of seasons ago, they came back. They had a real good comeback. They believe they lost by 1 score in that game. But the Ravens came to Ray J last year. Lamar Jackson ran all over them in the second half, and so that was an ugly night. I hope they can get it together. This is such a big game for the Bucs because it kicks off what we've been calling the gauntlet. And they're going to play the Falcons twice. They got the Saints coming up. They got back-to-back game. They got the Ravens on a Monday night. Then they got back-to-back games, 49ers, Chiefs. They've got to get all the wins they can to get to that Week 10, Week 11 bye week, but get through 10 games. I thought if they can get to Week 10 5-5, that's pretty darn good because everything's manageable on the other side of the bye week. However, now you're 3-1. Now you're going to get greedy. Why can't you go 7-3 through 10 games? This is a game they've got to go after tomorrow night, and I think it's attainable just because the Falcons aren't quite clicking offensively like they thought they would be, guys.
Dan Lucas reporting for us on the road in Atlanta, of course, monitoring the Bucs. All things Bucs for your official Bucs station. On Thursday Night Football, of course, it'll be the Buccaneers at the Falcons. Dan, we will leave you with a fun fact, a fun fact I know that you are completely aware of. Guys, Mercedes-Benz Stadium is home to a Chick-fil-A.
Yes.
That is always closed.
Yes.
On Sundays.
On Sundays.
Dan,
yes.
Makes no sense.
You can go to the
It's
Chick-fil-A
going to be
and
open. It's going to be open for a Falcons game. These fans aren't going to know what to do. You know what? If I think about it, I'm going to go take a picture of the line at the Chick-fil-A. You know how when you drive by a
the
Chick-fil-A,
line's wrapped around.
Right, so there's 65 cars in the line, and you're like, I get in there, it's no big deal. I want to see this line at the Chick-fil-A inside Mercedes-Benz Stadium. But that's probably the highlight of the night, the Chick-fil-A. Going to be open. These fans, don't eat before you go to the game. Don't eat. You got it right where you need it, right there at the stadium. I don't understand why they put one. I don't understand why there's one in Mercedes-Benz. I know they do stuff during the week, concerts, and the MLS team plays in there as well during the week. But on a Sunday when there's guaranteed sellout, they get the Chick-fil-A open for crying out loud. You want to make money or not?
That's what I'm saying.
So
I agree.
Come on.
Thursday
I got Chick-fil-A tomorrow. I got Chick-fil-A.
At Mercedes-Benz Stadium. You will see
He's got a good
Dan
day.
Lucas in the line. You know why?
Yes!
Exciting. And Bob, we'll let you get ready for the 5 o'clock hour. We'll see you around 5:50 or so on News Channel 8. Man, it was a fun ride. Man.
Entertaining.
So good, Dan. So good.
All the best to you.
All right, see you guys. Be good.
Everybody, Dan Lucas, one of a kind, the man, the myth, the legend, joining us on Bucs Bonus from Atlanta, Georgia, where, of course, the Buccaneers will face the Falcons on Thursday Night Football. Let's get into it, you guys.
My cheeks are hurting from laughing so
know.
hard and
That was
smiling
great.
so much. That was the
Honestly.
highlight of my entire day, my entire week.
That
Whatever
was
happens
awesome.
Thursday happens. That was
Have we?
amazing.
I mean, I've only been doing this a couple of times. Have we ever had a Bucs Bonus hijacked
no,
like that?
I've never
No.
seen hijacked or go out from the field and be live through this. That was awesome. We do that
a
every
whole bunch of
single road
firsts.
game. Yeah.
A lot of firsts.
Love
Streams
it.
getting hijacked like that are extremely rare.
Yeah.
So
He was so adorable too.
I loved it. Yeah.
I loved it.
That was awesome.
that's getting posted to social.
Yes, it is.
That was the
Everywhere.
first thing I thought. I was like, we're clipping that.
In no time. As we look here at the current NFC South, the Buccaneers on top with a 3-1 record. Kind of a curious way we've arrived at this 3-1
Very
record.
much so.
If you had told us, Aileen, at the beginning of the season that we would be at 3-1 entering the game in Atlanta with a loss to Denver.
No, I don't want to talk about it, but yeah, continue.
Yeah, how did we
I
get
don't know.
here?
I would say we did get here because I personally, I mean, we
We
covered,
both had 3-1. Well, no, you had them at 4-0.
I had 4-0.
I said 3-1, but I thought the loss was going to be Detroit.
Right. So you're technically right because at the end of the day, you're 3-1. I'll give you your flowers
Appreciate
there.
that.
Flowers.
But
Thank you.
but I will say I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised that they're 3-1 right now. I have them as my favorite in the NFC South going into this season. I know, as you mentioned, JB, a lot of people had the Falcons just because of their new pieces to the puzzle. I wasn't that impressed with their new pieces to the puzzle in the mix. No, and Kenny's shaking his head. No, he agrees with me. I don't want to say I thought it was a little bit overrated, but I did. And just with what I was seeing on social media and whatnot, I had the Bucs in the lead, at least as of
I did
right
as well.
now.
Yeah, I think I had him at 10-7, if I'm not mistaken. It was what I predicted originally. But I'm the same with you. I mean, Dan just said it. They didn't score an offensive touchdown this last game against the Saints. I don't think they scored an offensive touchdown in their loss to the Steelers, if I'm not mistaken, or at least if they lost that game. The Steelers, I know for sure, did not score a touchdown. They won by kicking 6 field goals. That offense has taken some time, and it really still hasn't gotten into any sort of rhythm. And you figured, okay, you got a new quarterback. It's going to take time to develop chemistry with receivers, a new offensive system, all that. But I think also the fact that he's Kirk Cousins, he's a little older. I think he's in his late 30s. He's recovering from an Achilles injury, and that's a tough injury to recover from for any professional athlete, but especially one as old as he is.
Yeah, 21 out of 35 passes for 238 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception, QBR rating of 28.5. So, he just wasn't impressive last game. Now we're not judging him based off of what he did last game. As you mentioned, the other games there, it hasn't been an impressive season.
I think he's only thrown maybe 4 touchdowns this year.
Yeah. Now here's the thing. We thought last week was a measuring stick for the Bucs, right? Facing the Eagles. And it's kind of crazy because this week is also another measuring stick for them because this is their first NFC South game. This is their first division game. But this is also a measuring stick for the Falcons too. Like we got to think on their half as well. This is an opportunity for them. They were just home. Yeah, they're at home now. I believe they have another home game after this. I could be wrong. We'll look it up. Don't quote me on it. But they have the home advantage, obviously. They're comfortable in their house, but it's big for them. It's big for the Falcons. This is a race between the Bucs and the Falcons right now.
It is. And the Saints as well. I mean, the Saints, that was, who was it? Younghoe Koo, I think, hit the game winner there for Atlanta this last week, 58-yarder, if I'm not mistaken. They're right in it as well because they're 2-2, if I'm not mistaken,
Yeah,
JB.
they are.
I think I saw the standings recently. It's really the Panthers are really the only team that's kind of out of the although they've been playing better now with Andy Dalton, which is surprising. But yeah, it's funny. We talked about it, or a lot of media folks talked about it going into the year. They're like, oh man, this NFC South division's terrible. It's the worst division in the league. And now you could argue it's maybe one of the most competitive ones.
Yeah, I agree.
It's interesting because, and we've touched on it on previous episodes, but Kirk Cousins gets added to the division and everyone's just ready to
just crown him.
Crown the Falcons and not giving Baker and the Bucs and Todd Bowles and the entire staff their flowers.
Here's the thing, though. We want it like that.
Right. They do love it like that. They do love being the underdog.
They play better as the underdog. And guess what? They proved that to us against the Broncos game because going into that game, they were the favorite. And,
they kind of slept on them a little bit.
And they know. As Baker said, they learned their lesson, whatever.
Absolutely.
But we like it that way. Yeah, let all the attention be on Kirk Cousins. Let it all be Atlanta. Keep them as the favorites because the Tampa Bay Buccaneers play better as the underdog. And I think if I'm them and I'm in the locker room, they're going to mentally prepare like they are the underdog every single game because that's when they play their best football.
Yeah.
As we look here at your Buccaneers game preview, I like that. I like the thread that we're on here. The Buccaneers embracing the underdog mentality.
But because they're not even really an underdog. Right. They're not an underdog. They're leading the NFC South, and they're favored against the Falcons. But in their minds, they need to be the underdog because that's when they win games.
Just capitalizing on some of the disrespect out there. Keeping receipts.
Keeping receipts.
Is that what the kids call it these days? Keeping receipts.
That's what the head coach of USF men's basketball said.
Amir Abdurrahim.
Yep.
Keeping receipts.
He said, I keep receipts.
You know that the Bucs are keeping receipts. Is Tampa Bay the team to beat? I think a lot of those answers will be kind of coming out and on full display for a national audience on Thursday Night Football tomorrow night. Familiar face, Bucs versus a former head coach in Raheem Morris. There's familiarity there, but Raheem Morris was a head coach for the Bucs so long ago that it's a completely different franchise.
Right. Yeah. Dan touched on that. He did a great job of covering that topic, really. But not only is a familiar face Raheem Morris, it's Kirk Cousins, right? Because obviously with him in the Vikings and being an NFC team. So there's a ton of familiarity when it comes to this matchup. But like you said, JB, it's different. It's such a different game than a different team than they faced last time.
Yeah. When was he coaching? That was like late 2000s. Was Morris, or when was he at Tampa Bay?
I'll get you.
I'm trying to remember off the top of my head.
Number of years. I do know that, we work with the Bucs in tandem, obviously being your official Bucs station at WFLA. And so we get to know these head coaches really well over the course of a season or multiple seasons. And Raheem Morris has earned such tremendous respect here at WFLA for being such a stand-up guy.
Of course.
And such a well-respected human being in addition to being a football coach. So,
and you gotta love kind of the trade-offs in the NFC South. Like you talked about Andy Dalton, like he was with the Saints. So
yeah,
it's like there's
true.
so many
I totally forgot he was.
Oh gosh, and then a ton of defensive guys on the Falcons were on the Saints. So like they do so many tradings, but
swap around.
You know what has stayed the same aside from Kirk Cousins and new head coach Bijan Robinson.
Yeah.
Drake London, Tyler
their
Algier,
guys.
their skill. Those guys are going to be need to shut because they're weapons. Their weapons are 100%.
And that's why I think it's still so surprising that they haven't produced more offensively with the fact because that was their big Achilles heel last year was that their quarterback play was basically nothing. They had, I think it was Desmond Ridder last year, and I don't think Desmond Ritter's even in the league anymore. And so now you bring in a guy who, I know Kirk Cousins isn't exactly, I wouldn't consider him an elite quarterback, but I would say he was in the upper echelon of starting quarterbacks. I'd say top 15. He was always pretty good with the Vikings, led into the postseason a number of years. And for whatever reason, it's just maybe it's taken a little longer than Falcons fans have probably hoped for to kind of get that offense rolling because all the weapons are there. You know,
it's going to be such an exciting game.
I'm
pumped for this
it
game.
Is.
Yeah.
I'm excited for this game.
You guys have Prime Video, by the way? Do you have Prime Video?
We do. I do, yeah.
I do as well.
I'm sure if I don't, I'm going to find it somewhere. Hey, I'm coming to someone's house. Hey, if you're listening, if you're listening to this show and you got Prime, you know,
hit up Aileen.
I'm coming over. You better have food
I would
too.
password share with Aileen, but I feel like I would look up and check it, later on in the day and see all these purchases on my Amazon account. I don't know if I trust you.
Chanel, Target. All the things.
Circling back on
Taking
Raheem
advantage.
Morris, previously head coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers from 2009 to 2011.
Okay, there we go. So late 2000, early 10s. Okay.
Yep, considerable time ago. And then, yes, how will the Bucs handle the quick turnaround? Of course, when you have the Thursday night game, it's a short turnaround for teams. It's not very popular amongst players in the NFL having to get in a short week of practice and then get ready for a Thursday night game. But that's the reality we are in with the NFL these days, a Thursday night primetime matchup. And so how do you guys think the Bucs are going to handle that quick turnaround?
I think they'll do well. I mean, when we talked to like Mike Evans and some of those other guys after that Eagles game, they said the main thing is recovery. Right? You can go in there, you can still get in there and watch film and take care of all that and understand matchups and whatnot and the game plan. But it's the recovery that's the toughest part because you only have a handful or even less of days to, get your body back on track after, getting beat up for 3.5 hours or whatever that game was against the Eagles. And, part of that also is now you have a couple other guys that like Luke Gedeke, maybe Kalijah Cansey would have played if this was a Sunday game, but now it's not. So those guys are still sidelined. And, thankfully the Bucs have proven that they can win without them. They did so against Philadelphia. I think they'll be able to do so again against Atlanta.
I think so too. And they always talk about their 24-hour rule. So they didn't have much time to celebrate the win. I don't even know if they did celebrate for a whole 24 hours. They just went home and started hitting the books. And that's something Baker said too in the locker room the other day. He's like, listen, it's rest and it's hitting the books. It's studying. Just like you said, Kenny, it's taking care of your body and looking at film. And they had walkthroughs all week. I don't think they had any kind of physical
when it's a short week like
all.
that. Even in the regular season, the practices are pretty, in terms of the physicality, it's nothing like training camp.
Well, the Falcons are facing the same thing as well.
Right,
so they're both faced with this task. It's not like one of them has a leg up on the other in terms of how long they're preparing for each other. But like you said, rest and hitting the books. And I think, Bucs and Falcons are both have that challenge. So it's not like one of them has had longer to prepare, but it is what it is. I mean, they're professionals. This is what they do. I hope they've had a lot of liquid IVs or regular IVs and water and Gatorade and cold tubs and saunas, whatever they do.
And of course, that brings us on the topic of recovery, brings us, of course, to our Buccaneers injury spotlight. Kenny, you want to break it down? This is written here by WFLA.com's Garrett Phillips.
Yeah, Servassier Dennis, inside linebacker. I believe he was injured in the Eagles game, if I'm not mistaken. That hurts. They put him on IR, short-term IR. So he's not gone for the season. He's out for, I think, IR is a minimum 4 games. Right. So that's the good sign. That's the positive. But it sucks to lose a guy like Servassier Dennis because he was playing so well for them in that backup linebacker role. And he's a different kind of linebacker than KJ Britt. He's a lot faster. You know, when I talked to Scott Reynolds of PeterReport.com, he loves him. And I can see why. The dude is an elite athlete.
He's smart, too.
He is.
He's smart.
He
Sees the field. Yeah. Good
Any
football
other
IQ.
Injuries, Eileen, that our audience should be paying attention to? We know a couple.
we've
It's like a CVS receipt of injuries. There's a lot.
I know, and Dan mentioned it a little bit during his hit. But yeah, Kalijah Cansey, he is out. Jalen McMillan out. Trey Palmer out. Obviously, Antoine Winfield Jr. out. Luke Gedeke out. I think for me, what stands out here is obviously you have 2 receivers who play in the mix that will not be playing. So obviously they signed Sterling Shepard to the 53-man roster, which is what was that one?
Setting up Buckified Bird. He's
okay. I was gonna say, I was like, that's excited. I was like, my God. Okay, fine. You didn't want to give me that, but you give Dan. Fine, JB. I see who you like better. So yeah, it's you would think it's a concern, but you know, Mike Evans is a positive because he did not participate. I believe was it Monday? Yeah, Monday, Tuesday limited, and then of course limited. On Wednesday. So hopefully he will be in the mix. I'd assume he would. But Sterling Shepard, 3 catches for 51 yards. He's a veteran when it comes to the receiving core. And hopefully they can kind of spread things around. I would assume they would give a lot of it to Chris Godwin. But I think they would hopefully the Falcons would assume they would give it to Chris, and then obviously Sterling Shepard, come out of nowhere and leave him in the open field. He had a nice
game last against Philly, honestly. I thought that was cool to see him kind of elevate and show off that chemistry again. I think with Baker, that was fun to see. I know it's been a long time since they played together, but you could tell when we talked to him afterwards how much he loves Baker.
It's when you asked him that question because what was it like going out there with your former QB, college QB, and his whole face just changed. His eyes lit up. It was like a whole different aura he had after you had asked him that question, which was so cool to see.
You could tell,
there's such a love and chemistry there.
Yeah, and now you see it because you hear other guys talk about Baker's personality and how engaging it is and how much he means to that team, just the bravado he has, the energy he brings. And you see it from a guy that's known Baker since he was a college kid. And then obviously it's left a mark on him, which is impressive to see. But I'll be curious to see how he handles that wide receiver 3 role because the Falcons, they got 2 of the better safeties in the league with Jesse Bates and Justin Simmons, who they brought over, I think this past offseason. Not a great defense overall. I mean, they're kind of middle of the pack. I know the pass rush hasn't been particularly good. I think they're dead last in the league in sacks. So that's certainly good news for the Bucs, especially with the news that, Luke Gedeke's going to miss another game here. So hopefully they can keep Baker upright, and hopefully Mayfield can kind of just be a little more decisive like he was against Philly, right? He said in that Broncos game where he was sacked, was it 7 times or 6 or something like that?
Crazy.
He held some of that on himself. He's like, I got to get the ball out quicker.
Which you love to see that.
Exactly.
Accountability.
Yeah, for sure.
Accountability.
So, if he can have a similar game to what we saw against Philly where get the ball out quick, make your decisions, don't try to, too many superhero plays, which he can certainly make. But when you try to do a few too many, that's where you start to, end up on your backside.
And how about getting the run game going too? You said hopefully they can do something in the core.
100-something yards last week. It was
a lot of it with Bucky Irving. Come on. If it's one thing to get excited about with this team, it's Bucky Irving. It's had his first career touchdown against the Eagles.
And then
he gets Bucky.
Listen, Bucky. If you're the whole stadium chants his name.
They love him.
Listen, Bucky. If you're listening to this right now, you leave the locker room so quick, and we want to talk to you. We saw him leave the locker. I was like, Bucky, get back here. We want to ask you about your first career touchdown. So kudos to him. You love to see it. You talk about Baker and just how much he is infectious and just makes such an impact. And he's a guy's guy. He's so cool to talk to. You can come to him about everything. That makes a difference. That is one of the reasons the Bucs are leading the NFC South. I think people don't understand, and we get so lost in the numbers and the X's and O's. Like, this is a family. This is a team. Like, you got to have that good chemistry in the locker room and be able to really have relationships. Like, that is such a difference as opposed to just a bunch of superstars in the room who just go to work and they leave.
Okay, you're teeing me up.
All right.
You're teeing me up.
Get it going. We're on 9. We got a whole halfway. We're almost done. We got halfway to go.
You're teeing me up because the national chatter this week has been Brady's comments.
Oh, yeah.
And Baker's comments. Baker's comments, of course, about the word was that it was a stressful environment with Tom Brady in the locker room as really the de facto leader of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And then Brady chiming back, saying that if I wanted to have fun, I'd be taking my kids to Disneyland. By the way, it's Disney World, Tom, not Disneyland.
Disneyland is Cali.
California,
that's
Disney
other side
World's
of the country.
Florida. But look, your thoughts on those comments.
I was going to say, do you want my opinion? Kenny, you want to go first? You want me to go first?
Sure.
Go first.
All right. I mean, I think you can win with either. I don't think it was a personal shot at either. Honestly, it seems like Brady likes Baker, and I think vice versa. I think Baker has nothing but respect for Tom. But I think, it's funny. We were listening to Tristan Wirfs doing an interview or a scrum with some other media members, and they were asking him about those comments. And he was like, yeah, when Tom was here, I loved Tom. It was awesome. I was playing with a legend. But I was also nervous as heck. I was like, oh, my God, I don't want to mess up. I'm playing with Tom Brady. I'm protecting the GOAT. So I could see that being a stressful environment. Absolutely. You're just so, you're kind of, it's a mind game. Like, oh, man, I don't want to mess up. Maybe. And, of course, Tom, I would say he probably has a little bit of a different style in terms of how he handles his teammates than Baker. I would say Baker is a little more relaxed, a little more casual. Like you said, a guy's guy. But, I mean, look, the Bucs are winning. They've won with Baker. I know they haven't won a Super Bowl. It's a little different. But, I don't know. I think it's a whole lot of nothing, personally.
Aileen?
It's okay. Oh, my God. It is literally okay that they were nervous at practice with Tom. It's okay that they feel like they can go up to Baker and, pat him on the head or whatever. It's two different.
They're two different people.
Two different people. It's two different teams. And, I think people get so lost in, one direction where it's like, you start completely over after a year. Like in every sport, in every team, on every level, different. It's a different story every single year, and it's totally fine. I agree with everything you said, by the way.
Yeah.
And I think it's totally fine that everyone was scared. Can't say a bad word. I like my job. I like to keep my job. I know you were going with it. That's fine. And you know what? Maybe that was the right way to go about things then, and it's different now. And it's like you said, it's working out now. It doesn't matter. I mean, it's so funny. I don't know. I just feel like, you played sports growing up. We played sports growing up. You've been on teams where, I have a setter that, let's say volleyball, for instance, and a setter is the quarterback of the team when it comes to volleyball. You grabs you by, I need you better hit this or we're gonna blah blah. Okay. You do it. And then the next year you get a setter who's much more casual. Hey, go out there, hit a 4, and you're like, okay. Right. You adjust to who's
exactly. It's
who's
like
there.
It's like a coach. There's different coaching styles, right? There's a player's coach, guys, the players love him, he's easy, he's like a friend. And then there's maybe guys like Bill Belichick, right? But you can win with either. I mean,
and these guys don't care. These players answer the questions because they have to, right. and everybody listens and they're like, oh, well, they probably like Baker better. They probably like Tom better. No, they're just answering your questions and they're fine with either of them. These are professionals. These are athletes. This is what sports are.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny when people get all crazy about it.
I also think this team, the current roster the Bucs have, I think it's better equipped for a personality like Baker because this is a young team. I know it's kind of weird to think because the Bucs were one of the older teams for the past couple of years, but the Bucs I think currently have the 3rd or 4th youngest roster in the league. So it's a lot of rookies, second-year guys, third-year guys. The oldest guys there's only 3 guys 30 and older: Mike Evans, Levante David, and Will Golston. That's it. So whereas when Tom was there, that was a pretty veteran-laden team. So he didn't have to be the only voice that was, being boisterous and trying to get guys on track. Whereas young players, you don't want to chew them out necessarily, maybe.
But here's the thing. Let's say even if Tom was here and it wasn't Baker, let's just say we'll play what ifs. If he was here, that'd be okay too.
Yeah.
Then we'd be saying, oh yeah, Tom is the oldest guy on the team. He's a leader. He's mentoring them. So it doesn't matter. It really literally doesn't matter.
It doesn't.
I think the Jets are experiencing something similar right now with Aaron Rodgers and how much of a difference there is with someone who's been there.
Yeah.
Right. But, look, Tom Brady, we've heard it, of course, when he was with the Buccaneers, going back to when he was with the Patriots, intense. He's an intense.
No, he's a winner.
Individual.
He wants to win.
But to the point you were making, you can, and not even beyond football too, you don't have to be intense to be a winner.
No.
There's what bottom line
a million different ways.
I think both of you would agree that probably the comments were blown out of proportion a bit.
I thought they were. Yeah, I thought they were.
Welcome to the media. Welcome to such. It's like, okay, everybody, But that's what makes all this fun. Is it's sports, and
They're fun talking points.
Everyone gets to have an opinion, and maybe not. That's not good all the time, but I think it's conversations that
You took the words out of my mouth because Tom was getting adjusted to his analyst role on Fox Sports, and now one spicy comment, and now people are going to be really paying attention to Tom Brady's commentary.
And he knows that. Mm-hmm. He's under a microscope his whole life. But let's also not be remiss too with Baker Mayfield. He takes this just as serious.
Sure
he just has a different personality. They have two different personalities. Like, it's not like Baker doesn't take this.
No,
you know what I mean?
not.
I'm just saying out there for viewers who I don't want them to misconstrue what we're trying to say. Tom's serious, Baker's not. That's not what we're saying at all. We're saying they're different personalities.
We've seen Baker Mayfield ripping smelling salts coming out of the locker room. You want to talk about
your
intense?
bacon.
Yeah,
I love that.
So anyone who believes that Baker Mayfield isn't intense, no, they're mistaken. It's perhaps just a different type,
different type of intensity.
Yep.
And you read a line too, you don't know how it's said. It's not what you say, it's how you say it too, right?
Absolutely.
So everyone you read that online, you see, I'd rather take my kids or Disneyland if that's how, I wanted to have fun. He could have been maybe joke, you know what I mean? I didn't hear him say it out loud, so maybe I'm wrong. But
via text versus hearing it is completely
and
different.
Context too. Come on, people, be smarter.
We're talking about being intense. You know who's intense.
Oh, come on, bring it on. Bring it on.
This is the segue, right? Love it. Everyone, the one and only Buckified Bert, who has to be feeling pretty good with the Buccaneers heading into Atlanta at 3.
Bucs games, Buckified Bert. Yeah, I'm ready to talk about what happened just last week when the Eagles came in town. They thought because they beat the Saints that they was going to beat the Buccaneers. Even though we was going through a hurricane, we beat the Eagles right at Raymond James Stadium. Yeah, the same thing we did when we played them in the playoff. We beat them again. So look, this week we're going to play against the Dirty Birds. It's another bird. Yeah, another bird, and it's going to be on prime. Yeah, baby. The whole world is going to get a chance to see that we are for real. We are 3-1. We're above 500, and we made a statement last week, and you might as well get ready because the Buccaneers are for real. Now, Casey Sloan going to tell you what she think about the player of the week. This is Buckified Bert, and I'm out.
Hey, guys. I'm so glad to be back and talking about a Bucs win. We avoided talking about the Bucs loss against the Broncos a little bit, but I'm really glad that the Bucs found their way back to the win column, and the person who helped them on Sunday is this week's Casey Stat Chat Player of the Week. So without further ado, let's talk about Mike Evans. Evans brought in a team-high 8 receptions for 94 yards and 1 touchdown against the Eagles Sunday. With his touchdown, Evans became Tampa Bay's leading scorer in franchise history. His touchdown catch was also his 97th receiving touchdown of his career, giving him sole possession of the 12th most receiving touchdowns in NFL history. That's all I have for you guys this week, and I'll see you next week for my last ever Casey Stat Chat. So, see you guys then.
Come back to
Don't come back to us. I'm going to be really crying.
Tough. So Casey Sloan, we'll talk more about it next week, but the departing WFLA, greener pastures, if you will, or so she thinks. And we'll, of course, give Casey her flowers next week. She's, of course, been the person behind the scenes with Bucs Bonus for
done a fabulous job.
An absolutely fabulous job.
Don't leave, Casey. We've got beaches and palm trees. It's better wherever you're going. It's not better over there. It's better here, Casey. Stay. I'll beg and plead next week.
I don't want to give it away as to where she's going. But
not beaches or palm trees.
But the football team in the area where she's going ain't doing too hot. So Casey, if you're listening, we're about that 3-1 division lead, life over here. I'd like to point out that this is the first episode that we have had with the entirety of the Bucs bonus team. How about
That's
it?
right. Love it.
And Dan joining us from Atlanta, Buckified Bert calling in, Aileen and Kenny in the Stream Center, and me, who you have to put up with hitting the buttons, plus Casey Sloan. A great episode here of Bucs Bonus on WFLA Now. We'll leave it right here with any predictions before we wrap up the show.
You want to go first?
Bucs win by a touchdown.
I like that. I around the same area as well. I think Bucs win. I think they win by, I'll go 10.
Okay.
24-14.
Give me fist pump. You can't see it. We just high-fived.
Go 24-14 because I really do like the Bucs offense in this one. I thought they did a really good job of protecting Baker Mayfield last week. The Falcons' defensive line, not great at getting pressure on quarterbacks. I think they'll be able to keep Baker upright. I don't know if they'll have another big Mike Evans day. Maybe they spread the wealth around. Maybe it's a big Chris Godwin day like you were talking about. Maybe we see Sterling Shepard get in the mix again. But either way, I think the Bucs end up putting up another 24, maybe 27. And they've been almost averaging 30 points a game, which is pretty impressive. Obviously, 30. Minus that Broncos dud.
Boom. JB.
Now we can get the fist bump. We got the fist bump.
Here we go.
There we go.
So boom.
Should we come up with a handshake?
What do you want to do?
I don't know. Here. High five, elbow, fist pump. Then we'll chest bump later.
Okay.
Are you going to give us some air five?
Shout out Terrence Middlebrooks hanging out with us here in the Stream Center. We have fun here on Bucs Bonus. Of course, WFLA News Channel 8, your official Bucs station. Be sure to check out Dan Lucas on News Channel 8 this week with his live reports from Atlanta. You'll catch, of course, right here in Tampa Bay, Kenny Morales, Aileen Hnatiuk, of course, on your official Bucs station. The Bucs head into Atlanta atop the NFC South. They hope to stay there, of course. It'll be a Thursday Night Football matchup in primetime on Prime Video. For the entire Bucs Bonus team, I'm JB Biunno. We'll see you next time. And as always, everybody, go Bucs.